How's it going, everybody? Chat wasn't signed in. I was about to hit start, and I'm like, wait. I don't know why it doesn't sign in sometimes. It says it's signed in, and then I go to the page, and it says it's still connecting. Frustrating. How's everybody doing? Today we are doing kind of an interesting topic for a few reasons. At the end of last stream, we were discussing near-term topics that we wanted to touch on, and I suspected that the topic for today and next week were going to be Android with multi-web view or system tray app. System tray app has always kind of been an interest of mine, and it seems very popular with others as well. But I realized that there was one thing that I wanted to do before we got into either of those topics. Transparency. When you create a window and a web view, you can actually have the background of that be like an alpha layer, where you can move around this, what would normally be a window, move it around in, like you can have objects in a web view, but then have the background or anything around it actually show back to the operating system. Some of that is private APIs, I believe, on Mac, so caveats. But that's fine. We could potentially explore the use case just for Windows. We'll see, but I've got some ideas in mind. And even if it just works for Windows, it's not going to be a necessarily a bad thing. But the reason that this also feeds into the other two topics is because Android and iOS are fundamentally different platforms, and there's restrictions such as you can't have, I'm pretty certain that you can't have multiple windows. So like that API is just kind of out the window on either of those platforms. So the other options we have to provide additional views to the user would be multiple web views. So a single app or page and then multiple web views. That might be an easy way to sort of like add tabs or add like disparate sections of your app. But then additionally, I don't think transparency is going to work on either of those platforms, but I wanted to get something in place that we could test it with and see. Just to see what it looks like and see how it reacts. The other use case would be with the Tray app. When we were first experimenting with it in Tauri v1, we were exploring when you click on the system tray icon, it does that pop up with a bunch of options. We didn't have the ability to decorate or make those look non-OS default. The handles to be able to do that didn't really exist. I think that's better. I think that situation is better. But one of the things that we're attempting to do to kind of work around that constraint or work within those constraints was, rather than popping up a menu, instead pop open the main window or the main web view. And now you have access to HTML, CSS, and JS to make it look however you want and have whatever functionality you want in there. I think I do still want to explore that as a possible option, see what new APIs or how the APIs have changed for the system tray. But transparent, I think, is kind of a unique piece of it that would be interesting to dig into. All of that to say, first topic, transparency. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna toss up a quick app, and we are gonna see if we can get a little bit of transparency working, and see see what that looks like. Did the beta just release, or are you expecting stable soon? Loaded question. Alex, good to see you stop by. Thanks for stopping by. Beta, actually, I have it open right now. Switch over to display. Beta was released at the beginning of the month. So we've kind of been, when we were in V1 and pre-V1, there was a few main topics that I did on stream that were interesting, or I thought were interesting to explore. Particularly the type of APIs that were provided a unique proposition as compared to doing something that was strictly web-based. So if you're doing like a PWA or a web app, would these APIs be enough of a reason to warrant instead considering that as a Tauri app? So that's the more unique use cases is why we were exploring those specific APIs. So part of what I've been doing recently, if you check back on the last handful of streams, is seeing how they changed on the new version and seeing like what features were added to each of those subset of features. Stable soon is a question. There's an ongoing audit process, and that's going to probably be one of the things that's greatly dictates when the definition of soon is. Also docs. We need help with the docs. There are a bunch of there's a bunch of stubs. Some of them are like strictly new. They don't really exist in V1, at least as far as the docs go. Some of them are we're pulling pieces out into plugins, so the documentation has morphed or evolved. And I think some are literally just, we haven't copied it over from V1, with minor updates to the new APIs. It's getting more fleshed out. So definitely, you did follow docs and got nice. The main like quick start and guides, those seem to be pretty well filled out, because those are the ones that if you are coming from V1, you have some background in the APIs. So those are the ones that were first on the docket. Like, get those out first. And we've gone through a few of them. We did the migration from V1. That was the first, I think, beta thing that we did. And we've gone through the like access control list pretty thoroughly at this point. But it's the features and recipes that need a little bit more work. So definitely, if anybody's interested in helping out with the project, that is a big need that we always appreciate additional help with. So yes, docs and audit are probably going to be the big things dictating. And then bug fixes or anything that comes up as part of either of those pieces of work. So I'm not going to say any specific date, because I do not have, most of my Tauri time is free time. So I don't have as much direct control as some others on the project. So I'm not going to commit to any timeline, because it is definitely not in my purview. yeah, it takes time. It's the classic overpromise. No, other way around. Underpromise, overdeliver. I don't want to say it'll come out tomorrow and then it takes 3 months. But soon, TM. Okay, so we are going to, I think we're going to spin up a completely new Tauri app for a reason that we haven't discussed yet, but we will get to it. Tauri, get started. Should be fine. I've been running Create Tauri app just from the cargo. I'm not sure why. Part of it is we're working on Windows at the moment. And I'm running new shell, not PowerShell. So just the additional effort to switch to PowerShell is kind of annoying. And like this bit is kind of annoying too. But I guess, you know, what is it really that much different than 2 commands? I don't know. Okay, well, we're just gonna call window Tauri window transparency. Let's go ahead and increase the size a little bit. We are going to start it with, yeah, I think we start with JavaScript or TypeScript, because I'm not specifically feeling any. Oh, there's React. We are going to use React also for reasons. I'm going to generate it as TypeScript. I am, and we're going to include the mobile stuff just to see, because we eventually do want to test some of the mobile features regarding transparency. But I want to do TypeScript partly because I'm familiar with it, but also the IDE helps us out quite a bit when we are using TypeScript just a little bit more. So we will do TypeScript light, likely. Can you show how you enabled Tauri CLI in the source folder? Not src Tauri. Yeah, we could do that. So I'm going to differ, or deviate. I tend to use npm, and there's a bunch of folk on the team that prefer pnpm. I always forget the there's too many like P's and M's and M's, and it just always gets jumbled in my head. npm. And there's a subset of those that prefer cargo. So if you're doing something like Leptos, cargo makes a lot of sense because you are just completely in the Rust ecosystem then. I tend to prefer npm and then put all my commands here and include in the dev dependencies, and it's still, when we generate, the template is still including it. The version of the Tauri CLI gets included here. So there's like create Tauri app, which has its own version and its own templates. Then there's a CLI, which technically has its own version. And for the most part, it's shelling out to the binary that you have installed. So theoretically, you could install the Tauri app CLI globally, and it would not actually be an issue. But this has proved, not just in Tauri, but like in other projects, I've seen this to be the most consistent and have the least amount of foot guns. Use npm for desktop app, but decided to try Cargo CLI on the beta. Yeah, the Cargo CLI and Cargo in general is nice, and being able to install those CLIs is really nice. The whole structure they have around it. But I bounce around. I'm doing a whole bunch of like different test Tauri projects. So being able to have disparate versions and just have it baked into the project, and I don't have to think about it, super nice. So not only do I use, still have a old project up. I need to commit this to the code from last week. It was a busy week. Oh my goodness. I got distracted now. Oh yeah. So not only do I rely on the dev dependencies to pull in the CLI and handle that version, I also use Volta. The support for like core pack and npm is still, I would qualify it as in process. But when I have a scope that fits within Volta, it ends up being really nice because Volta allows you to do global installs that are separate from the, or not specifically tied to the version of Node that you've installed. And it allows you to bake in both the package manager with version and the Node version into like the same command structure. And it just similar to like MVM, if you were familiar, it does that on kind of a whole nother level. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, I think we say, let's pin node at 20. I think that's probably going to be safe at this point. And Volta pin npm at 10. You can see here we did get npm with this install. But I'm going to specifically pin it. So then what we end up having is within the package JSON, we have a property in there called Volta, which specifies the versions. So if you are running, if you go to any of the projects that I have set up that are using Volta, you come in and you run npm. If you have Volta installed in the like first position for your path, it's just going to on the fly download that version of Node and npm if you don't have those installed, which is super nice. So a combination of Volta for this and this in my dev dependencies mean basically one command, and I don't have to think about any of these pieces, which is great. I love it. Okay. So we have generated a project. Transparency. We want to look at transparency. I don't think we have anything as far as specific features or recipes for it. Yeah, so this is one. This is a stub. We have a section called window customization for V1, but we haven't actually finished it off for V2 yet. But that hasn't necessarily been a blocker for us on stream. I guess that makes sense. List of references and okay. Because we've for the most part we've done enough of this on stream. At least specifically, I have done enough of this on stream that I'm just familiar with APIs where I can look at the API references and just pull out most of what I need. A lot of the examples and such in the recipes end up coming directly from the examples that are in the embedded within the docs in the JavaScript API and the Rust API. So that helps us out. What we are particularly interested in, though, is I believe in Windows config. Nope. Window config. I'm pretty certain is where we have the ability to specify if it's transparent or not. And I believe V1 had qualifications here, but yeah. Note that in macOS, this requires the macOS private API feature flag. Using private APIs prevents your application from being accepted to the App Store. So that's the thing, which is probably one of the bigger reasons that will end up preventing iOS from doing any of these more unique APIs, because most of them, they seem to be private APIs that you can't actually use. So you're going to definitely run into difficulties if you try to make an app using this and publish it to the App Store. So caveats, but transparent is pretty much all we need to do. So if we would go into like rsrc Tauri config, and we have a main window defined already with a title and a height. We can do transparency. I believe it was a Boolean. Ooh. And we can do npm Tauri dev. I gotta install first. I do have an alias set. If you type in nr with my new shell config, it is basically npm run. So I would do nr Tauri dev, which is npm run Tauri dev. Transparency was unexpected. Ooh. Transparent. Transparent. I think this is the VS Code plugin that's helping us out. I don't know that we've updated for V2, or maybe there's a flag somewhere to update it, but I'm not going to bother going down that rabbit hole at the moment. Saving helps. So now I can run an npm Tauri dev. It is going to use the correct version of Node, npm, and the CLI, just based on these things that we've set up. Oh, okay. Rust up update. Apparently I haven't updated Rust in a hot minute. It'll take a little bit, but it won't be too big of a deal. We actually ran into an error with the Tauri plugin shell last time. I suspect it was something with this, where it was expecting a newer version of Rust, and we did not have that. Okay, Vite is running. We are getting the compile. It should automatically pick up you're using V2 and provide completions based on it. It should? Okay. I don't even I think when I installed it, it was like ages ago. We didn't. Have we even done any updates to it? Or well, we've done updates to it. Have we? I wonder if this is actually still the one that you're supposed to install. Oh. Interesting. Maybe I just typed in transparency and it was autofilling because I had. Interesting. I'm not sure what happened. I actually had it disabled, so definitely not that. Thanks, Amr. Also, hey, how's it going? Amr has been on the stream twice? At least in the recent past. Both those are really fun ones. And they were lower level pieces that we kind of dug into some of these APIs that we've actually explored further on in the streams once they've settled. We did menu items, which I think is probably going to be potentially something that's going to come up in the tray app when we explore that more. And then we did multiple web views, which last week is what we did. Now that it's like gotten out of the PR and get pushed up like into Tauri and is usable in Tauri via experimental flags or the unstable flag, used it in Tauri. So super excited about that. That was cool to do. We have a window. It's not transparent though. There's a couple things that we additionally need to deal with. First of all, the default Create Tauri app has a background, I'm pretty certain. Background color. White, really? Do we have another background color in here somewhere? Another white. Another white. Oh, no, those are buttons. Button, root. Here we go. So, okay. Neat thing about using a web view is that you get a bunch of these like browser APIs. I've got my preferred color scheme set to dark, so it is using this background color. We are going to go ahead and there we go. You can kind of see it. It's a little bit floaty. If we bring this back, wait. If we set no background color, that's when it actually has the transparent effect. So you can see we have elements within this window. If I click on anything in here, it's still not falling through. So I can't like click on this, or I can't click on this. It's still selecting the elements within the DOM. We also still have the window Chrome. So next thing we can do is we can set decorations to false. That is a config change. We will get a rebuild of the project in Rust. And unfortunately now I don't have any drag points. So I'm gonna have to expand it, bring it over. There we go. So you can see it. We still do have the shadow though. So the decorations turn off that like top bar. And it's getting harder to interact with. Let us change. Let's look at the main app and see what we're working with here. Let's change a little bit within here so we have something to actually like grab onto and be able to move this around once we start removing some of these elements. The body and root, okay. So container. I'm going to say this container right now, the class container, taking up that whole width. I think what we can do is say on the container, give it a margin. I think that is potentially going to give us what we want. Refresh. Nope. We might have to actually specify a specific margin. Word margin. Margin X, I think. Margin left. And I don't know. This is probably going to be sufficient for the moment. We just want to have like a block that's smaller than the actual window itself. And we can make that whole block then. So I think what we will end up getting with the margin, orange will be something that's transparent, but we can't actually click and drag with it. I think the padding will. We'll find out in a moment. But if I set the container to be considered a drag region, we should be able to drag or click and hold any of the pieces within the blue, potentially the green, to actually like move this window around. So if we look at the container, and I think it's Tauri. I'm questioning if I'm remembering that correctly, but if it's not, we will look it up. So still no dragging out here. Nope. Okay. Dragging. I don't remember where it would be under. So let's go to the configuration. I'm going to just go ahead and search like this. File drop enabled. Oh, custom drag region is what I want. Okay. I mean, I don't really need the issue, but okay. Data Tauri drag region. I was close. I was actually pretty close. So now you should be able to like click on the title or some piece of it around and drag. Did I get that right? Data Tauri drag region. Data Tauri drag region. Doesn't seem like it is working. It could be. So the other part of it is when you have a drag region, you need to. There's like a z-axis component to it that I'm pretty sure you need to be mindful of. So if we just switch it to the title, are we able to drag? No. Okay, let's see if we can find the actual start dragging file. Drag region. File drop events. Data Tauri drag region. I didn't think we need to do anything special with it, but it is entirely possible that we do. These results aren't particularly helpful, are they? JavaScript API. We may need let's go to the Tauri configuration and let's look at the window config and the decorations. I wonder if we have anything in note in there. Nope. Still not included in beta documentation. Yep, finding that. It is data Tauri drag region still though, correct? I mean, this is setting it to true. I think that's fine, right? I can't drag it though. Let's do a kill and let's just rerun it. It's possible we may need the handle. The might be a missing permission. I was wondering about that. The default permissions are nothing. So if we look here, we're not getting any errors or anything, right? Window start dragging is not allowed. There we go. Yep. Good call. Good call. Does the capabilities come in with? I think I've only done the migration. Does the capabilities come in with Create Tauri app? That looks like something we can just copy paste. And our error message. I kind of was raving about this last time, but our error message is literally telling us the thing we're trying to do has a permission associated with it. Add this if you want to do that. See, so anytime I try to drag, we're getting that permission error. So this is padding up here. I can drag the padding. This is margin on the side here. I can't drag the margin or outside of the container. I mean, right now I can't drag anything because it's not currently working, but we get the permission error with the padding, which means that once we get it working, we can also drag it off of that padding. Okay, so we've got, I'm guessing we need to restart to get the updated permissions. It regens it every time, doesn't it? Schemas. Schemas. But I actually wanted in. I saw capabilities. So what we actually want is in the capabilities folder, which we don't have. We're going to say capabilities /desktop.json. Now I can copy and paste this. And now I should be able to save. So regrab this error message, or the permission from the error message. And hopefully it's working now. There we go. All right. So I'm clicking and dragging off of this title. The padding works. We can open that back up so we can see. Root container. I can drag in the green, which is padding, and I can drag in the blue, which is like the main DOM elements. The orange is margin. I can't drag there. See, no dragging, no dragging, no dragging. Up here and here I can drag. So now, if we've got this like transparent floaty piece, you can see that it is actually respecting SVGs even. So when we start drawing with those APIs, we also get the transparency there, which is neat. As well as like this field has some opacity to it. That opacity actually goes back through to the desktop, which is fun. We still have, I think it might just be a Windows thing. Hummer would probably know offhand, but we have the window outline with the shadow, and I think we can also turn that off within the configuration. I don't know, I got on V1. Let's look at Tauri configuration and window config. Visible with window effects is what I am guessing we need to go look at. Apparent, resizable, skip taskbar, theme, title, transparent, visible, window effects. If you're using decorations, just shadows, you may want to try this workaround. And there's a config. So either you don't set it or you set the config. Window effect state, interesting. Window effect color. So I'm presuming that if we want to just straight up turn this off, where's the window to be transparent? Is it shadows? Is it just coming in from the shadow? Let's try that, whether or not the window has shadow. So platform specific. Okay, yeah. If your window is decorated, it's always on. True will make non-decorated window have a 1 pixel white border, which is what we have right now. So we have a 1 pixel white border and the shadow. Yep, there's a shadow property. Okay, I just saw that. Just so you know. Shadow false. So this should give us, after the rebuild, a fully transparent window. We won't actually be able to see the edges of the window. So now we just have this like floaty bit. I think we can still, I can still find the edges of the window. And especially if I like shrink it small enough, I can see the scroll bars, which actually end up cueing me into like where the edges of the screen are. But now we have this floaty bit. We do still need to put in some controls to be able to like close the thing, because it would suck to not be able to like close. I mean, I guess you can right click on your taskbar down below, but the next thing I want to try. Normally when we make new projects, I'm putting them in the Tauri playground repo that I have created. So I kind of have like a shared space to put them. This feels like it could be a different project. There is Excalidraw is MIT licensed. They have a paid service for like the hosted bit, Excalidraw Plus. So like that is a really neat model. I think my company actually pays for it. We use it a bunch for our use cases. You can do freehand drawing though. It's open source and they published a package. What happens? We've got this floaty Tauri app. What happens if we make it large/full screen and put Excalidraw in there? So let's go ahead and add this. We'll kill this. Do npm add Excalidraw. And now I think we can pretty much just do this. If you're using a module bundler, we should be able to just drop this bit in here. Well, what's that caveat about Next.js? Since Excalidraw does supports. Okay. Makes sense. I think we're good. I think we're good. I don't think we need to do too much with that. We have a drag region for this like whole container. I'm going to straight up replace, whoop. Sure, we'll just drop it in there for now. Basically just gonna drop this straight away in there and see what happens. So we don't need this greet, nor this set state. Let's try it. See what happens. Whoop. Oh, okay, sure. I have no idea what's gonna happen, but I think it's gonna be kind of fun. The resizing is definitely gonna be interesting. that could, like, if this is a thing you would, like, outside of the use case of a toy app, you could potentially have, you could have the ability to interact with this thing via the system tray. So like that would be a potential use case. Okay, finished. It's somewhere. Not visible to me though. I'm fat fingering everything right now. Okay, let's move some stuff up. Give me a bit more space to work with. All right. So normally it starts on the left of my screen here. I don't see it at all. The Excalidraw does have some. There's like additional components around the outside. It's possible that comes in as a separate piece. There's a. Oh. We good? Are we good? I'm pretty sure we're good. You're gonna love the issue. It decided to start going over my 10 gig network and connects to streams sometime. Now you're in. Whoa. It's broken again? Are you, with all the like weird buffering, there could be that you're behind live. Like you may be slightly behind where we're at. We're back in. The fix was disabling my 10 gig network. I actually have 2 network controllers on this. I've got a Intel 2.5 gig and the Marvell 10 gig. What? Some got confused. Everything started going over the 10 gig network, which I have intended to be only internal. Things got weird, I guess? I have no idea, computers. But I was like, every other computer is working. What's the issue here? Clearly it's not specifically on YouTube's end. I don't know. What can you do? All right, where do we leave off? We tossed an Excalidraw. We had save. It didn't seem to have any errors, but we couldn't see anything. So we have added a little bit of extra things on there. So theoretically, we have more to see. But I can't see it. This is the downside of working with. Here we're gonna put shadows back on just so I can see the edges of the app. I'd expect it to be showing up over, on this side of the window that you're looking at. The other thing we can do too is within the configuration, I think there's a center, and we could start it in full screen, which is handy too. But center, true. It is entirely possible too that we have an issue with like something in here is causing issues. So it finished. Oh, okay, I can see it, but there's nothing there. So we have a root. Reference process is not defined. Okay, and this is part of the problem here. Is it intended to? We might have to like check out some of the yeah. Okay. There we go. That is our issue. So process.env.isPreact. You can update the vite config to ensure it's available. I mean, it's not preact. Since we support this conflicts with the preact and doesn't work. How we shipped a separate build for preact. Once the above env variable is set, you'll be able to use the package in preact as well. I mean, we could do this. Theoretically, we just pull it in from unpackage if we are having that big of an issue. I would prefer to have it bundled though. Source code next. There's a theme prop that we can use. I mean, I guess we could just do this and set it to not vite config, and it is in define. I think it's in here like this. So this would be false because we are doing. There we go. So container, there we go. Draggable. We have the floaty window. The next bits that we want to look at are, if we don't have this and this and this, we're going to just have interesting. Oh, is it because the what if it's a height issue? So if we say height 100% and actually let's do that on the container. And we might how do we do this? Let's start with this. Height 100%, width 100%. Does it not like that? Doesn't seem to like that as a container. All right, well, 500 pixels width, 500 pixels. We'll just start with that. I mean, we can mess around with CSS as we go, but like this gives us at least the app within the container. And there is some like, so this is a drag region. This is not. Hovering and anything like this is still like focused within the window. So I can't click through. So that's the bit that I'm curious about. But we do have the ability to draw here now, and we can do like freehand draw. So the question is, we can pass a theme, right? Can we pass a theme that actually makes the background transparent as well? We are passing a theme prop to it based on the current color theme of the docs that you're just reading. So style, height, doesn't specifically say anything about theme there. But if we look here, theme, light and dark. On change, pointer, link. I mean, we could theoretically override it with CSS, I'm presuming. But it'd be nice if we use the APIs that they provide. Okay. Can use theme to specify the theme. Ah, that didn't scroll correctly. Change view background color. Here we go. Indicates whether to show background color picker. Ooh. This prop controls the visibility of the canvas actions inside the menu. Okay. All right. So if we go into the app, we click here, canvas background. Can we do like a, can we give it hex code with like a, what a 8-character hex code is, includes transparency, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nice. A little bit harder to see because we need to not be using black. But if we do this, look at that. We are coloring on our screen. So, I don't know. It would be nice to just like default it to that. So initial data, app state, scroll to content. I'm wondering if the app state is what actually contains the visibility or not. Render props. Render embeddable. Okay. UI options. So we can allow you to change the view background color. Scroll to content, files, elements. So this would be an actual like element within there. Ooh, here we go. App state. And that is within the initial data. So Zen mode enabled true. Sure, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, ooh. Unexpected token. Got it. Here we go. So now, if we do a refresh, there we go. So our default app state now is default app state now has the transparent background. So if we now, so our drag region is here. It's going to get tricky because we want something to be able to drag. So like being able to drag off of this element would be nice. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that though. That's the question. So it's mounting it in here. I mean, we could take a look at the Excalidraw. The menu at the bottom is hint viewer, app and bottom bar. Okay, island, app, bottom bar. So if we look at the other APIs that are provided, we have app state. So these end up being all of the okay, that gives us a button there. I mean, we could do it that way. We could literally put a draggable piece in the UI. We currently have Zen mode on. We might be in like, I'm guessing there's some expectation of let's do like 1,000 maybe. There's some expectation of mobile support, I'm presuming, in which case we're gonna get a different UI. Yeah, okay. So we'll make this a little bit bigger. If we change the canvas background, you can see that canvas is pretty big now. We're currently in Zen mode. Refresh. There we go. So that gives us the default. Now if we draw, we should be able to how do we change the color? Stroke. Here we go. What if we go back into Zen mode? So reset the canvas, sure. Oh, reset actually clears the whole state. That's something to think about at least. So the default, like we almost need to like remove that reset button effectively, because it is defaulting back to the state in which. Here we go, Zen mode. Zen mode, view mode. Zen mode. There we go. So now we can color all over it. So I can like, this is the thing that we're talking about. This right here. Look at this thing, right? This right here. It's really fun. It'd be especially more fun if other people could do it too. Now the question is, do we have the APIs within Excalidraw to make it full width? So there's initial data, render props, update, resets, get state. I don't see any APIs in here that are going to specifically help us out. We can toggle the theme. Change view background color false. Okay, so we can potentially change that, but the reset I think is potentially going to still. I mean, I guess we could do this. Prevent them from clearing the canvas, prevent them from changing the background. The downside then is we would have to add a button, I think, to manually clear it without resetting like the whole state. Children, ow. Hi, kitty. You need to cut your nails. Come on. Little needles right in my back. There. Ooh, and there's mermaid too. Customizing styles. So this is the other bit that we could potentially do. We said use the custom style to change the color back, or the primary color. Theme dark, primary color. So we could potentially change the primary color. I mean, it's fine for the moment. We'll just deal with it. These are actual elements. There's app state, scroll to content, library items. Okay. I feel like app state's gonna be our only option. I don't see anything here. App state. I think this line number is out of date. Frame rendering. Basically, we want to be able to like put it into full screen, or otherwise make it larger. I'm not seeing. Okay, so there's a width and a height. So if we say something like width is 100%, and height is 100%, what is that going to give us? It doesn't like that. String is not assignable to type number. So it's taking an actual number. Group being edited when you just okay. Offset top, offset left. So if we, instead of let's look at the full container. Bring it back over here. Shrink it down just a little bit. The root covers everything. We have maybe a little bit of padding around the outside, but that's not too big of a deal. We do currently have the margin in there. The margin is what's allowing us to, or like preventing us from dragging in there, because we just wanted to drag on the container region. But if we go into container, we can probably scrub most of this code here. We don't want margin. Padding top we don't want. And then I think we could probably do width is 100%. And height is 100%. I think 100% is the thing we want to go with here. Yeah, so then it ends up taking basically that whole container. So now we've got the main container, which is set as a drag region. We've got this H1, which is not. So to drag, we can't click in the blue area. You have to click in the orange, because that orange is the only piece that's actually like part of the drag region. Now, if we take off this app width and height, okay, it definitely seems to require something as far as size. So it is taking the size of its container. Width, and then height is 0 pixels. This is where knowing CSS is helpful. MDM CSS. There is CSS layout is probably where we want to look at, is my assumption. I'm assuming we've got the viewport tag in there. Could probably take a look at that. There's like a CSS. It's like 100 VH. Yeah. There's a new one though that would probably be better on mobile. There we go. Okay, drag region is still kind of futzy. We are going to move the drag region here as well, just to make it easier on me for right now. Is it DVH? DVH, thanks. Oh, F0XE7. Foxy? Foxy? Is that supposed to be what it is? That's cute. DVH. So DVH, if I recall correctly, feel free to correct my incorrectness. DVH includes some browsers. I know on mobile, Edge, I believe, it has a bar at the bottom, which will, depending on how you're scrolling, which will show up or disappear. DVH takes that into consideration. So something that I've run into on websites that don't use that, does the full page. I can't click on anything on the bottom because I've got this little app bar that's covering the top of it. Or that's going over the top, which is really annoying. But, you know, can you do... All right, so we've got a height 100 DVH, width 100%. The container has a width. I think we set the same here. It's close. I'm not gonna worry about it too much though. We've got the gist of what we're shooting for here. So let's get out of Zen mode. We can do a stroke, and now we can draw on our screen. So if we expand this, I'm pretty sure there's a way to, like a hotkey to clear it. Delete. Like, it would be nice to be able to just slowly delete some of this stuff. So like expanding on the APIs would be nice. That color picker is pretty sweet. So you make this thing big enough and we can get rid of the shadow. I still have the shadow in there just so I can keep track of it a little bit. But you literally, if you have this thing over at the top of your screen, you can literally, this is the thing that I'm talking about. We were just discussing DVH. We add a DVH here. And now we hit the downside. We can't click through. So here I can drag around. And I guess we have drag within the canvas. We have drag of the window. So I can drag around the canvas and say, no, actually I was talking about this. But I can also drag this, the window. So there's definitely some complicated bits that if you take this further, you'd want to deal with. There's an API to allow see-through. Okay, and now that's the last bit that I want to touch on before we call it a day. So, because I'm particularly curious, when we're in draw mode, I'm guessing we won't be able to click through. When we're in pointer mode, I assume we'll be able to click through. I'm assuming one of these is going to allow us to click through. However, your web view won't get move mouse down events, so you can't bring it back. Yeah, okay. But we could potentially put it behind like a global shortcut or something, right? Can you toggle back and like toggle it on and off? And this is where you might start needing to get into Rust. Yeah, global shortcut is better. Yeah, so it would be like switching between drawing mode and not drawing mode. So like probably like drawing mode, not drawing mode. App window set always on top. Okay. So we would need to thanks by the way, Lasha. And good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. So app window, I'm presuming is in window. And right, it's an app. No, is it in web view? Wait, app window would be a specific variable for get current. So get current window, right? I'm assuming that's what we need. Yeah, window, great, perfect, thank you. This is like coding by and we could have a button too. I mean, honestly, like a solution for mouse. You hope to find a solution for mouse move, though, while keeping mouse move and mouse leave. I guess for like hover states. I guess for like hover states or whatever. So we're gonna do app window. App name. You're not helping me out. This is all Excalidraw, isn't it? Tauri app / window, I think it is. Oh, yep, it is app window. You sure? Is that a that's a Tauri built-in? I mean, whatever. Let's just use this. Copy paste. Thank you, Lasha. I was gonna do the import, but I don't. We're gonna ship it. I don't think that's an error we need to care about at the moment. And app window. So I assume we can do this just directly in the render function. Set always on top. So basically on first render of this, or anytime this is rendered, I think it's going to do it. So now let's go ahead and do a refresh. Ixnay on the work key A. Cannot read properties on defined reading window. Yep. I don't know that we have the global. I don't know that we have the global set. JavaScript API. Window. I mean, we've got functions, interfaces. I don't see an app window. I thought there was an app window. Is that only on the global? It's got to be only on the global, right? Const app window equals get current. Not that. Get current. All right, Windows set permission associated. Okay, we need some permissions. That is fine. We get a rebuild. Okay, so Lascio is helping us out as well with the global shortcuts. Yeah, I think register command or control shift C. I think we could theoretically copy and paste that. I'm not going to dig into that right now though. So part of the issue here is now literally everything is going to go through. So we are setting set ignore cursor events for the whole window. We have to do it on a monitor basis, right? Like that's our only solution. Set always on top. So we do want it always on top. It's interesting though that when I click through it's still not on top. Always on top. True. What if we set it here? Should get a rebuild. Scrolled at some point, so yeah. We're getting a big unexpected token. That's old, I think. Okay, so now if we click, okay, so it's always on top and we're clicking through. So we would need like we literally can't interact with anything here. So as it is right now, what Lash is proposing here is literally the only way to do it. And this is slightly annoying. Let's turn that off for the moment so I can hopefully drag you away. Nope. All right, go away. Let's see, await register. Whoop. Wrong keybind. What did I do now? Man, I'm like, all this like switching between computers is just messing with my head these days. Register. And I think that's in 10 core. Not helping me out, Tauri. Let's see. Register unregistered. Global shortcut. Got it. At Tauri apps API / global shortcut. Is that? So we're on V2 right now. Lasha, is that? Are those the V1 APIs? I don't remember where global shortcuts are. But like what those, for some reason I'm thinking that those are the V1 APIs. Get name or add plugin listener. You get two path. Okay, yeah, that's V1. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. We have the code for that yet, or the docs for global shortcut. No. Plugin. We need to use the plugin. Okay. Yeah, that's annoying. All right. Well, I don't think I'm going to bother with the plugin at the moment, but basically what we would end up registering a global shortcut, so then you could toggle between them, because as soon as you turn that on, you've basically removed all ability to interact with the thing. So we can, if we go into our configuration, we've set always on top to be true. I think that means we can remove this, which is just fine. And then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to set this, and let's just do a rough button click through mode. We won't actually be able to toggle it at the moment. We won't be able to toggle it at the moment, but that's going to be fine. So the Lasha, the on V2, the global shortcuts is under a plugin, and I'm being lazy. I don't feel like dealing with that right now. Always on top, true. Transparent, true. Decorations, false. That is going to give us it's always going to show up on top. We're going to get the transparency and no directions. We also need the shadow to be false. So this is going to give us the app where it is completely transparent with no visible edges on Windows, mind you. Mac OS has it as a private API, so you would have to go through the private APIs to do it. But this gives us literally the ability to draw on our desktop. So now we can go here into the canvas and draw. Bam. So the button that we added is this click through mode. So now if you want to interact with the thing and then talk about the thing behind it, you can swap, basically turn on this like click through mode, and now I can interact with everything with this still on top. We would probably have to do some sort of global shortcut or interact with it in a different way, because now I can't click this button to go back. So there's no way we can toggle it with this current setup. But this gives us like the high level view of like the things that we could possibly do, taking advantage of this, the fact that we can use transparency with this. Is backdrop filter blur working on this transparent mode? Interesting question. Let us try this. So if I do, I can't even like click into it to reset it. I guess if I save, do we get a nope? Okay, we're gonna change something in the Tauri configuration, which should give us a rebuild and give us a fresh interactable window. So backdrop. Oop, we don't actually need that open anymore. Backdrop filter blur. So this would be in the Tauri configuration. We're gonna put you on the side. I believe that's a window effect, right? Window background, full screen, content background. Blur? Is it just blur? This effect has bad performance. Okay, fine. Is that what you're thinking about, Foxy? Is it Foxy? I'm assuming. We aren't going to be able to like. So the downside of this is we're not going to be able to like play around with it. It's just on or off. So if we do window effects, and it is a config, and that config is going to have a we might need VS Code to help us out with this. Come on. So window effects, is it a object, color, effects, and effects would be blur. Got it. We're getting the rebuild. So now this will be testing if the window itself has blur, which doesn't appear to be the case. Probably because we are, I mean, it seems like some shadow related thing, but I'm guessing all the window effects are just gonna like get really wonky. Oh, blur on Windows 11 not, oh, it's not supported. Oh, okay. All right. So Mika. Is it Mika? Thank you. Hummer. I don't know what the difference between dark and light is going to be, but we can try it out. Interesting. Windows 7 and 10 only. So in the docs we say Windows 7, 10, 11. Yeah, so we're definitely getting There's 22 H1 only. Got it. Okay. So we don't quite get I think the blur that you would expect to see. And if we look at the, come on. Oh, I want to resize you. These are all Mac OS, so we can do Mika tabbed. I don't know what tabbed is. And acrylic. Wow, I butchered that at first. Is acrylic the same? Thanks for stopping by. Elian? Yeah, so like the blur is just gonna get real weird, Foxy. I don't really think that's gonna end up being useful. But what we can do is Argentina. Nice. Hi from the US to Argentina. I don't think doing anything with the window effects is actually going to end up being useful. Maybe the shadow, potentially the shadow. You do something like keep the shadow on, which, you know, again, OS specific thing. Well, here, yeah, what should we do? Here, we'll do it this way. Shadow true. Take off the window effects. That will give us the transparency. Style. Our container is taking a good chunk of it, not all of it. What we could do though would be, we are setting a view background color of lots of zeros. The first 6 are the hex, and then the last 2 end up affecting the alpha layer. And I wish that would help us out with the we want a background color of either black, but slightly transparent. Yeah, so it's not numbers. We could do, let's do 46, sure. So if we copy that here, I think this is probably going to be like the feeling that you're going for, Foxy. You have a transparent layer, and now you can think of it like you were layering on effects over the top of it. So you don't get the blur, but you have access to the browser. you could basically do your own blur. Like you could literally write your own shader to do any sort of blur that you would want. You could do a continually moving Veroni blur to make it happen. I think that's probably going to be the most consistent too across browsers, because you're using the browser APIs at that point and not relying on the abilities of the window. So as long as the window is able to remove all the decorations and be transparent, now you're in browser land. I think that's probably going to be the best case scenario. You're welcome, Lasha. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I mean, too bad we had a little bit of blip in the middle there, but we made it happen. We worked through it, and this is pretty cool. I think there's lots of possibilities with it, and that's partly why I wanted to explore this before next. I think it's probably going to be the next 2 streams, TBD. But the next, if not next week, soon upcoming would be doing an app tray or a system tray app. I think we could potentially use something like this as you click the button in the system tray and it pops up an actual like app where you interact with it, and it feels like a system tray thing, but it's not actually. You're actually interacting with an app. And I'm curious how this is going to work in Android and iOS. Again, transparency is private API in Mac OS, so I suspect we're not going to be able to do too much with this on the mobile platforms, but it's pretty easy to try now that we have it set up. So I think there's lots of possibilities with this. Using an app as an additional layer over and or interacting with the things that you have on your computer already. So like that would be one of the pieces of functionality that might push you towards making a Tauri app as opposed to a web app in the browser. Like this isn't something that you're going to really be able to do with PWAs, like this kind of stuff. So within the configuration, we've got the window effects. I don't think those are going to be useful. I think what you're going to end up wanting to do is do some sort of blur or shader within the actual browser itself, in the vein of like changing the background color with a variable alpha layer. I think that's going to end up being the way to go. Any more questions? I think that's probably what we're going to call it today. If we don't have anything else that's quick to try, I think that's probably what we're going to end up checking out for the day and looking at upcoming streams. There's a couple streams that I want to do as far as guests are concerned, but I'm still kind of working out details and whatnot. So those are TBD, but we've got we've got an idea of like 2 or 3 or 4 of them that are near term that we want to jump into. And then whenever V2 actually comes out stable, we'll probably do a launch stream for that, I would imagine. But we'll see. All right, well, thanks for stopping by, everybody. Nobody did the commands. Somebody do a drop before we go. We'll do a drop on the way out here. Okay, I'm gonna do it. I gotta do it. I thought like putting stuff down here would be enough for people to like, what does this thing do? Yeah, there we go. Okay, you beat me to it. Nice. Now I'm gonna laugh when it doesn't actually work because streamer.bot was not working before. It doesn't work. Sad. Okay, we're gonna manually just turn it on and turn it off. There we go. That's what I was supposed to do. My streamer.bot broke. What is with computers, I tell you? Streamer.bot was not working, and then the stream like cut out. I've never had that happen before. It like switched to the wrong network interface and just got weird, wonky results. I don't know, computers. Anyways, have a great rest of the week. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. We will see you next week for likely more Tauri stuff. I need to find my button sooner than do my outro. Bye.